Authentica Solutions is set out to build what we call now the education cloud. We knew we had to solve several aspects of interoperability issues and challenges in the space. Our background is in K-12 and we've expanded into higher ed. Where we began was with PaaS, so Integration Platform as a Service. At the end of the day, our core product, DataSense, is middleware, and it sits between all applications behind schools, within school networks. We help rationalize and connect everything inside of a school, behind the firewalls, everything in front, ASP, SaaS, and then with the platform overall, we enable districts who are currently running applications on-prem to convert into the cloud. We'll talk through a few, wrong button. So what at its core for us, I've only been in education my entire life, starting as a teacher and coach. So it was most important as a company that we set our value system intact. We have since brought on, we're now running 28 full-time team members. We started in May of 2013, so we're just coming up on our 4th full year. We have funded everything, self-funded everything to date, and we're really excited about our growth so far. DataSense, as I was mentioning, is our core product, represents now several facets, and I can jump into those here in a second. The core problem we sought out to fix or address, and it comes from my background and experience in K-12, was on average districts run between 20 to 30, and now we're seeing, on this next piece, you'll see even bigger numbers as we continue to deploy. If I keep going backwards, 15 to 75 enterprise applications per district. We're seeing less than that in higher ed. We're seeing 15 to 25 in the higher ed space. They have another 100 to 400. So we're deploying into a district right now. We help them get a thorough count. They're running 400 applications. So this comes from inside K-12. There's a lot of discretionary funding at the principal or campus level. That math app looks great. I'm going to spend my last $5,000 on it this year. Hey, IT, you need to integrate with this. Worse yet, we see a lot of FERPA and COPA violations where teachers are entering then all their student data by hand into a free application. The challenge with that is it's against FERPA and against COPA, and so we wanted to provide an easy-to-use solution to integrate with the SIS, the Student Information System primarily. As we continue to grow, we're seeing with our districts, the amount of data that they're generating is around 25x month over month in the last year. So we hear all the time, we have plenty of data, we just don't know what to do with the data. So you have great analytics companies popping up, great BI. From a BI stance, selling products into schools, your largest school districts out there typically will have an analytics team, and they're diving into this data, but without necessarily looking at the data from its core. What I mean by that is this data has been accumulated over time, and so they're immediately going to a 20-year-old data warehouse, and they're analyzing, how do I impact learning today? And so our position is you should be looking at yesterday's data to determine how you're going to impact learning today. If you want to look at 20 years of data, you can figure out where you messed up over the last 19 years. So everything that we've built out is no older than 2 to 3 years of data. It's active, and then we build several data layers on top of it. Some recent awards that we've won for the platform overall, most recently the Edtech Digest, cool tool. Just to give you a little bit of a look into, so we have 3 layers. We primarily sell through channel partners, other Edtech providers. We help them get their products deployed into the field. As DataSense gets connected and deployed into a school district, then the district takes ownership and management of that data. So at our core is the district owns their data regardless of who pays us to integrate and manage that data, and we help them own it. This portal allows a school district to log in and clearly see who's receiving what data, where's it going. We love the proliferation of APIs. From our side, being data plumbers, as we like to say, the API is not that different than CSV. You show up, here's my application, here's my 100-page guide. As soon as you write to my beautiful API, we'll be seamless. We all sell seamless. We don't necessarily implement seamless. So with Edtech Providers, our team comes in with our product core, and it sets as middleware. If we need to take 4 CSVs, an XML, and an ODBC feed and translate that over to an API auto feed, then DataSense handles all of that heavy lifting. We can take DataSense and attach it to, one of our partners is Blackboard, for instance. We can attach it to their core system and provide EdFi or OneRoster compliant data interoperability. So we can drop those standards into the API immediately out of their system without them having to go through robust or extensive cost of modifying the product. I won't go through all the features there. So integration PaaS, as we initially set out, was all around personally identifiable data. So how do we move it? How do we manage it? How do we cleanse it? Since our platform also helps with reconciling core systems. A lot of these systems have been manually created and updated inside of education. They haven't ever communicated with each other. So as we deploy in, we have to do a massive reconciliation. During that process, we find a lot of things that we can help the school districts overcome. Miscalculated GPAs, data that wasn't shared appropriately, a lot of that human API that we hear a lot about. We want to end that piece. It's difficult in the space overall. And then we work with 2 departments of ed now to begin to modify and re-envision how state reporting happens. Funding's important. And so passing up that data. So we do a lot of de-identification. We do a lot of roll-ups. And we can also provision data, take from a large-scale district like LAUSD. We can take all of that data out, de-identify it to the level that we can hand it over to an agency that's trying to evaluate how they're really performing without giving them PII. So there's a lot of capabilities we can deploy. DataSense is a unification platform. So you can see IPaaS, our education data store, is built on top of CEDS, the Common Education Data Standard. We chose that standard above all because it's pre-K through lifelong learning. It encompasses K-12 and higher ed and allows us to do full state reporting. I'll go back really quick. So in addition to, we acquired a company in November, which allowed us to have all the interoperability for the Trust platform, which is a single sign-on solution. The primary way we deploy that now is in companies that are high acquisition. DataSense can unify all of their back-end acquisition, acquired assets, and we can also put a single sign-on platform in front so that their customers experience one login and one data exchange. I'm right. That means I'm out of time, doesn't it? All right. So just real quick, these are we have several initiatives underway. A lot of our great channel partners. We're continuing to add additional channel partners and turning to direct sales. And then our Department of Ed initiatives. So as far as us as a company, we're doing pretty well. We've had a lot of growth. We reinvest that growth year over year. And we're interested in accelerating further. So we're constantly talking to a lot of folks who are interested in contributing or looking at the platform further. But we're always looking for channel partners. So if you have needs out there, we'd love to hear. All right.